All right, now let's talk about image tags, and this is where we start to get in a little bit more fun stuff here. So I'm going to actually get rid of most of this text here, and now we're going to insert an image tag right below this heading tag. So as I've sort of described before, image tag is IMG, and it doesn't close, and we need to specify a source. Okay. So we need to, again, specify where the actual image tag that we want to use is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload an image. So I'll go over here to Workspace. We'll sort of follow our conventions. We'll create a new folder called images like this. And then I will take this image that I have on my computer, and I will just put it over here in this images tag, and then let me just make this a little bit easier for us to work with. So we'll just do myimage.png like this. And so in order to reference this, now we talked about relative URLs versus absolute URLs. So if we want to reference this, we can do images/myimage.png like this. Okay. And you see that image is dropped into our page here. Now the problem with this is sort of works because we're in index.html, and so the way the browsers are essentially looking at this is it's saying, okay, you're in index.html and you're looking for my images/myimage. So I'm just going to see if there's an images folder on the same level as index.html. Oh, there is. And does that folder contain my image? So it does. Now, if we were to sort of change this up somehow, if index.html was to be further down somewhere in the file structure, then this wouldn't work necessarily this exact way. So one thing that you might want to do is you might want to use an actual absolute URL like this. So we would actually copy the URL of our website and we would drop it in here like this. And let me put a slash there. So in my case, because I'm on a dev server, I have this crazy long URL, but it'd be your URL and then it would be the path to your image like this. And if we refresh that, you'll notice the image still shows up. So a relative URL only works if your site is structured in a particular way where they can work. Absolute URLs will sort of always work. We can put this image wherever, and then we can just specify the absolute URL to it, and it'll always find it as long as where we say it is. It's actually where we say it is. So the recommended thing to do here is to use absolute URLs like this to make sure that you specify it explicitly so that you don't have anything that crops up that you're not expecting. Okay, so again, we're just giving it the URL where that image is uploaded, and this can be on-site or off-site. Okay, so you could have a CDN where you store your images, or you could store them on Amazon S3 and reference them from there. You could technically reference a URL from somebody else's website, although that's called hot linking, and that's sort of a big no-no, and a lot of sites protect against that. They don't let you do that because they don't want you loading images from their website, and that actually uses up their resources. So that's a whole nother thing, but for our purposes, using the explicit absolute URL is the way to go. And then the last thing here is you always want to include an alt tag like this, and what the alt tag does is if for some reason the image can't be displayed, then this text will be displayed instead. So we'll say something like example source code. And different browsers handle it different ways. This is actually sort of an internal browser for this IDE, so I actually have no idea how it handles it. So we'll see here. But here you go. You see you have the broken image and it says example source code so that it can still be seen. Also screen readers and so forth will use this. So for accessibility, for people who need that sort of thing. You always want to include that alt tag and make that alt tag descriptive so that, if someone is reading this with a screen reader, because they're not able to see it themselves, then when the screen reader reads this alt tag, it actually is descriptive about what that particular picture is and so forth, and it actually is useful to them. So that is your image tag. Again, as you'll notice here, let me go ahead and close this up. I don't have the slash at the end of it. I don't have a closing image. I don't have something like this. That is an improper syntax. You don't need to do that. You should not do that. I don't have the HTML or XHTML sort of slash like this. It is just the opening tag. It's called a void tag. We have the source, which is the specific URL that we want to load. We have an attribute called alt for displaying it if we can't load it, or for screen readers and so forth. And of course, you can add other attributes in here as well, like style. We could style this with CSS and so forth. But that is the image tag and how it works.